This particular prepared a lot because you're going to be using your DNA points for this. DNA points is essentially... It's basically as if you're going into a shop and buying things. That's essentially what this is, and this is how you mutate your plague and make it stronger. You have stuff like drug resistance to make it so you can increase the effectiveness in wealthy countries, which I would recommend because it's going to come in handy. This is how heat resistance, cold resistance. I did not mean to do that. This is where you end up getting more resistance to colder temperatures up north. But the real challenge is going to be, like I said, you have to adapt as time passes. I don't recommend, like, starting out normally. Like, you have to make sure that things start out perfectly. And you don't screw anything up. Occasionally you get little news bits like this where they tell you something, hilarious ones that don't make sense, especially. A lot of them do contain references too, by the way. I should note that. But let's see here. You have transmissions which make it easier. Back into this, by the way. You have transmissions which make it easier to pass along certain regions. Like, for example, you can make it so it travels on dust particles now. How do you do this? Well, it makes it so you can increase the infectivity. And when you do it on planes, that's why you want to make sure to get those up and running soon. Now it's going to start traveling along in planes. And as you upgrade that, it'll have an easier time doing so. It's all about upgrading, but not only that, adapting. Because sometimes you might need to devolve something to accommodate for something else. You know, you have to keep in mind of the constantly changing world. Things don't stay static in this. For example, the UN announced a new aid initiative for poor countries, making them less vulnerable to disease. These kind of things you have to watch out for, because that will change how it spreads, how it, you know, how effective it is. But the main thing is you have to keep your eyes peeled on down here. Once you do have the knowledge that, okay, there is... They know about a disease, and they're going to do something about it. So they're going to start trying to make a cure for it. And down here is where you're going to see the progress and all. And trust me, you want to make sure that cure slows as much as possible if you mean to win this. But anyway, the pop-up, heavy flooding in Russia. Natural disasters occasionally occur in this game as well, and will cause some deaths, as you can see. When that happens, that's not necessarily a bad thing, at least as far as I know. Like, it doesn't really seem to hurt the game for me. I assume it's supposed to be a way of saying they're kind of... There's less people for it to spread. So, you gotta keep that in mind. But, indeed, there's all that. So, I made it spread via water now. Which, again, will make it easier for certain environments and transmissions to occur. So, for example, humid environments. The water one makes it more effective in humid environments. So now it should spread in the country I set the pathogen in. It should spread more effectively because of this. I know this game is very strange. Like, there's no other game like this, but trust me when I say this, the game is quite addicting at times. It's yeah. Also, that Call of Duty reference in the news ticker. If you miss any, if you miss any news references, you can click like so, and you can find out about everything. Also, if you just now noticed, I got a red bubble that came up instead of the occasional orange ones that just give you random DNA points. The red bubbles are telling you that a new country has been infected and that it's spreading. So you want to pop those. You want to make sure as much of this, you know, you want to get as many DNA points as you can, because it will really come in easy. Because you're not going to get as many soon. It's not going to stay that way. So if you really want to make sure things are all good to go, make sure everything's infected. Also, as you can see, things are starting to spread now, because it's starting to pick up and it's starting to travel in planes and stuff. So wait a moment. Not only that, it's also picking up because, as you can see, there's a lot of people infected now. So it's pretty much, it raises the odds now that people are going to catch it, and it'll continue to spread and all that. But let's see what to evolve next. Probably this, because it definitely needs to be done. How much is this? That's 15. So I should probably... I might think about going with that, but before I do, I want to up the animal, because you can make it so certain animals become susceptible to it as well, and that really does come in handy as well, because again, it increases the odds that everyone's going to start catching it. So, speaking of which, I picked a good time, because sometimes the things you pick, like sometimes things will benefit you instead of just negating it. Like earlier with the research, like the funding in poor countries and all. Now we have very high levels of bird migration expected. That's not going to benefit me because of what I just picked. So that will cause the rate to go up of things catching on. And because of that, it's going to increase the spread. And people are really going to start... it's going to start lighting up pretty fast. But let's see here. I can evolve something else now. I can evolve something else now, but I don't know what it is. I guess the cold resistance, because that really needs to be done. When you have something starting out in a in a hot country, it means that colder regions are not going to have an easy time at all. So I highly recommend leveling up as much as possible. Also, you're going to hate Greenland in this game. As blunt as that may sound, you're going to hate this country in this game, because they seem to have the best luck when it comes to avoiding this stuff. I don't know what it is. It's probably because of the fact that they have absolutely no means of this disease getting there except via boat, and that's it. Nothing else. There's no other way you could get there except maybe a random luck of blood transfusion or something like that, and that's it. Like there is nothing else you can do. But yeah.